And then I'm going to share this video. Then we'll get going. Good luck.
Thank you.
Enjoy it. Just have fun.
Feel like a right doing this, but here we go.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing all right. That video just brings the right kind of energy, I reckon. Anyway, good morning and welcome to the Marketing Meetup. Thank you all so much for being here this morning. And I actually want to start off this morning by just saying a big thank you. Last week's chat was unreal. The chat feature down below that you'll see right now, it was unreal. It added such a crazy dimension to the session. Last week we were speaking about mental health, but like the support that was going on in there, the conversation, the connections that people were making between one another, it was unreal, and it added such an amazing element to the event. So my point of encouragement for today is let's try and do exactly the same today. Use that chat feature, make it go on fire, look after each other, be positively lovely, because like we're here to present an amazing session this morning that is truly you that make it special. So thank you, and let's do it again. Let's have some fun. And on that subject of the chat feature, don't forget to switch it to all panelists and attendees so everyone can see your chat messages. In honor of today's guest, I think it would be wicked if you drop where you're watching from and your favorite news headline of all time, just to see if there's any that sort of hit your mind straight away. Today, I'm buzzing, absolutely buzzing, that our guest is Carrie Rose, CEO of Rise at 7. If you haven't heard of Carrie yet, then let me leave you with one guarantee. This will not be the last that you hear of her. It's already too late to be calling Carrie a up-and-comer, but she does represent one of the industry's most exciting prospects, who's only going to grow and grow and grow and grow over the course of the years to come. She was saying just before we went on the call that she's 27, and like, how exciting is that? Like, I'm buzzing from her energy this morning, and I know that you will be too. I'm trying to not lay the pressure on, really, but a quick glance through Carrie's Twitter will give you a glimpse of someone who's working with diligence, intelligence, creativity, having fun, and also sitting on the realm of an absolute rocket ship. I'm dead excited to see where she goes, but I'm grateful for her being here today too. Today's session is all about getting press and building links. And despite this being one of the fundamental skills of marketing in 2021 and having been around for forever, it's still something that feels a little bit like a bit of a dark art. I can profess, as a marketer of nearly 10 years now, it's still something that I haven't nailed. So today I'm going to be sat watching on the presentation and learning like the rest of everyone else, because the questions that come out at the end, whether they're from you or whether they're from me, they're going to be based in genuine curiosity into how to get better at this fundamental skill of marketing. Today's session has a presentation element, and then we'll have time for Q&A afterwards. hopefully. Carrie's already warned me that she can go over, so we'll see. We'll try and get those Q&As in, and do drop those in the Q&A feature that's found down below. You just need to wiggle your mouse, you'll see the Q&A feature, drop your questions in, and the most important thing there is that the questions that get asked first tend to be the ones that get the most thumbs up because people see them more, and also to use the thumbs up feature. So we ask the questions that you want answering the most. Finally, I just want to thank all of our sponsors for enabling us to do this session today, to be able to deliver it to you for free, to be able to deliver it at all for the Marketing Meetup to exist. It's been a crazy year, and I am the sentimental type. So, you know, I sit by all these folks and I just sort of think, Christ, how lucky we are that they are investing in the marketing community and enabling us to do what we're doing this morning. So you've had these folks in a message before, and you'll get them in the message afterwards in the follow-up email. I just really ask if you take the time just to say thank you to the sponsors. I know that they seem like logos to some folks, but there's human beings behind them. And just a quick thank you, it really goes a long way. So thank you from me to Content Cow, Pitch, Fiverr, Redgate, who are hiring right now, by the way, Cambridge Marketing College, Brand, Gravity Global, Third Light, Bravo, and Human. Just take the time to thank them. So that's my introduction done. So Carrie, it's over to you. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. I don't know if it's your calming voice, but it made me feel like really like emotional when you spoke there. I think it's the music, the hype. I feel it's still early in my eyes. This is probably the earliest I got up for a long time.
Well, yeah. I'm happy to bring the emotions.
Well, pictures. Let me present my screen. So I'm hopefully going to keep you all hooked for the next 40 minutes. That's my job. I'm trying not to be boring. That's one thing I'm definitely not. I do speak a million miles an hour, but apparently that's a good thing. People have told me. But yeah, I'm going to be covering how to get press coverage and get links. I'm going to be both practical, giving you exactly like how we do what we do, give you some tips of tools to use, all that sort of stuff. I hate when people do talks and don't really give you anything to take away, but I'm also going to be inspirational. So some of the sort of stuff that we've done, not to sell it, but just to give you, just to inspire you really. So I'm gonna, that didn't work. I'm going to start off with this. You've probably seen it if anybody's on Twitter and works in, I guess, our industry. Everybody's talking about digital PR right now. A couple of days ago, John Mueller, who works at Google, basically tweeted that digital PR has a bigger impact than tech SEO right now. That obviously ruffled some feathers in the SEO community, and everybody's discussing it, debating it. What does digital PR mean? And somebody said this: digital PR is just a PR that builds links. They're wrong. And there's never been a more important time for PR professionals to prove their value of their work. And I think this for all industries. So that's creative industries, advertising industries, all industries right now are having to prove return on investment, are having to prove why their work actually is good enough. Take this. So this was a campaign done by Disney Plus in December. And if you didn't see it, all they did is basically create the Home Alone house, which is obviously a very popular house when it comes to TV and movies, out of gingerbread. They created this house to promote the fact, I think they had Home Alone on their Disney Plus channels. And they put it out to press, went viral. I think off the top of my head, maybe got 200, 300 media placements. However, how many people then went and signed up to Disney Plus? How many, how did that impact their brand? How many people went to Disney Plus to go and watch Home Alone? This isn't something that people know. This isn't something that people have tracked. Another example, John Lewis. John Lewis spent millions on their Christmas ads every single year. So this was maybe a year ago or 2 years when it was all around Elton John. And what I did at the time is I Googled the word pianos. So the whole advert was all around pushing pianos. And when you Googled pianos at the time, John Lewis didn't even rank for pianos. So although they was pushing that one product, they didn't even rank for it. So if they was creating this demand for people to buy a piano, why did they not think about search? Why did they not think about the content on their website? And this is exactly why I launched Rise at 7. So we are a search first creative agency. And what that means is we actually called ourselves, we've had a bit of a change over the last 12 months. We called ourselves an SEO agency. That's our background. We do SEO, we do search, but we take the creative approach to it. We thought SEO has never really been creative. It's never really been sexy. And, you know, the likes of John Lewis, the likes of Disney Plus, their big creative campaigns never really worked for search, but now they can do. So we build and target sites like this when it comes to our campaigns. We get, you know, your national press coverage for clients like this. We're lucky, we're only a year and a half old, and I'm already working with Game, Xbox, Park Dean, Cath Kidston, you know, Pretty Little Thing we won last week. That's insane. But what we did is we basically said, we do SEO this way. We do SEO creatively. And if you believe it should be done that way, come this way too. So the sort of things we do is this: Christmas dinner went viral. We create graphs that go up. So we don't just, you know, do a big brand campaign, but we actually make sure that people are searching for us, and that actually when people are not searching for us, we're still at the top of Google. We actually drive revenue and transactions. Everything has a search and traffic behind it. So how do we need to think? This is the thought process. We need to think about is the 3-step process. Firstly, what are we wanting to achieve? Is it brand awareness? Are we wanting to sell more dog jumpers? Are we wanting to rank for pianos? What is it that we're trying to achieve? What can we do to earn that coverage and engagement? So what is the story? And then think, how can we turn that coverage into links and search impact? So you have to think about it, because a lot of people get it wrong. A lot of people create a story that'll get the coverage and they don't get any links. They don't get search impact because they just don't know how. So I'm going to show you. Tip: what all some PR stories have in common is that they're relevant to now. And that's because they're jumping on trends. And it doesn't mean trends in the last week. I think yesterday I saw Katie Price trending. I think she might have done some sort of video announcement or documentary or something. I haven't looked into it, but I just saw that she was trending. And it doesn't mean in the last week, but it also means that in the last 6 months, you know, what's going on in the press? What are people searching for? What search behaviors are there? And when I look back at the last year and a half, our best campaigns have responded to current trends. So take the one on the left, Future Gamer. We basically visualized what a gaming addict would look like in the next 20 years. We used a 3D designer to basically look at the eyes, the skin, the hair. It was all of this. It got 400 global media placements, because what happened was lockdown hit and everybody was gaming. Gaming went on a rise. It was in the press. Everyone was talking about, you know, gaming addiction, spending too many hours online. Another one, House of Fraser. Nobody could go out and party. So we created a dress-in gown. What it was is a gown that you could wear for a Christmas party that was actually a dressing gown. That got load of media press, drove 20,000 people to their website to buy this. Everybody was going crazy on it. Cath Kidston, Animal Crossing was going viral at the time. Everybody was using it. So we basically put Cath Kidston on Animal Crossing. And that's what we're really good at, putting a brand with a trending topic to make our content spread. Good example of it is this. Has everybody seen, I know obviously no one can respond right now, but has everybody seen the IKEA Bernie chair? Yeah. By the way, you actually get exclusive content of this. It's fake. IKEA didn't do it. I did. On Saturday, I basically ran into my boyfriend, went into the bedroom, and my boyfriend's a designer. I said, I've got this idea. I want to prove that campaigns and content, all they need to do is be relevant to now. That's all they need to do. So I created this. It was a fake IKEA ad, and it was clearly fake because the E isn't a Swedish letter. IKEA usually on their adverts have the price tags. So I made sure it was fake, but all I did is tweeted it, and it's got nearly 1 million impressions, thousands of likes on Twitter at the minute, thousands of likes on LinkedIn. This is spread because I made it relevant to now. It was all around the Bernie Sanders. So yeah, I do a lot of this. I do a lot of things to prove why what I say is actually right. And yeah, if you can make your content and brand and relevant, and I know a lot of people will be going, yeah, well, it's IKEA. Of course, it's easy for them to go viral. That's the brand we put the name on. However, I've got plenty of examples of, you know, people that are not IKEA that people have never heard of doing the exact same. So we wanted to prove how relevance to a trending topics helps brands get media. So how do I know what's trending? First of all, that's what I've got to know about. We've built our own internal tool, now alerting us of every trend in the last day, week, month to react fast. So we can immediately see that, a good example, when lockdown got first lifted, I think it's like April time, something like that, or maybe further back, with Boris Johnson announced the lockdown lift. Basically, we saw that black lingerie went up like 300% on Misguided. So we knew everybody was going for some sexy time because lockdown had lifted, they wanted to meet their partner, and there was obviously wanting to feel confident. So we knew immediately because of our tool, but that's only built through tools like this. So BuzzSumo, we pull it from their API. If you use BuzzSumo, it's not that expensive, but you can literally see every single topic that's trending in every single niche, from fashion to food to, I think this one's in the marketing space for tech, etc. So you can literally just click on tech and find out what's trending in tech this week or what's trending in tech this month. And you can select it by location, by area, so you can really be on the pulse of what's going on. Google Trends, really simple. So yeah, Debenhams trending right now. I think that was yesterday, all because of the Boohoo being bought out. So we knew to create content around Debenhams. I tweeted about yesterday. I think I've got a couple of 100 likes on my Twitter. You just got to react to what's going on in the press. And one of the best tools as well that we use our API for is exploding topics. So this one, for an example, is obviously showing that Bitcoin is on the rise and vital proteins, etc. But these are just people's searches of what people are searching online. But these are free tools, by the way, except from BuzzSumo. You have to pay for BuzzSumo, but it's not that expensive if you have a look into it. But these are just ways to keep on the pulse, know what's going on in the media, know what's going on social media and in the trends. A good example of this is this. So obviously I mentioned before, it's easy for IKEA to go trending, go viral. However, broadband deals, it's a small affiliate site. All they do is basically send people to go buy broadband for 20 quid. That's basically their job, to get as much traffic to go buy broadband. And what we did is a bit of a data piece around how much artists are earning on Spotify for every stream. We created an asset. I'll skip this. What we did is we created an asset looking at John Lewis songs, Disney songs, the top 100 most streamed songs, to look at how much the artist would. So for every stream on Spotify, you get paid, I think it's like 0.043p or something like that. And we looked at, okay, for every stream then, how much are they getting paid? We pushed this out and it got a couple of pieces of coverage, and we really struggled to get the pickup. However, what happened was, at the time, is Mariah Carey hit #1 in the charts for All I Want for Christmas Is You. And obviously that song is the most annoying song, comes around every single year, but it hit #1 for the first time. And because we had how much Mariah Carey earns from that, we pushed that out. We got 200 media placements. We got on CNN TV, we got on Yahoo, AOL, Daily Mail, Lab Owl, you name it. All of these kind of national publications was talking about broadband deals and their data. And that just proves that at first we really struggled. But as soon as something started trending, such as Mariah Carey hitting #1, and we pushed out the fact she earns, I think it's 7 million on Spotify royalties, etc. That's when we started getting the pickup. So yeah, on TV, etc. So overall, it was 200 media placements across the world. 12 different countries was talking about this. So it just proves it. So talking to a bigger audience than your customer. This is something that Ash from X Social Chain, now a great influence, he talked about this to me. And what a lot of people get wrong is this. So if you turn a funnel upside down like this, at the bottom, the small point is your direct customer. So in my eyes, if I flick, it's SEO. SEO is what my customer is. However, the middle line is your customer in their circle, and then the top line is everyone. And what a lot of people get wrong is they speak to this really small little point at the bottom. They create content that just their direct customer is going to like. The middle line is really what you need to target to start off with, your customer in their circle. So for an example, I want to be talking to marketers. I don't want to be talking to SEOs. I need to be getting, advertising people, PPC, to know who Rise at 7 is, as an example. Or I could be talking to everyone. I am not in a position where everyone is going to know who Carrie Rose is or Rise at 7. Who gives a fuck about SEO agencies, really, when you think about your mum, your dad, your brother. However, you need to open up that space and talk to other people outside your direct customer. And that's when your brain starts to think of wider topics. That's how you engage with a mass audience. Then you need to think about content that you talk about in the pub. this is the most simple thing, and a lot of people get this wrong, is I just ask myself, would you give a fuck about this? If you saw this in press, would you share it? Would you talk to your mum about it? Would you talk about it in the pub? And if it's no, then start again. I often ask my team, they'll come up with this idea and I can see there's no confidence in them. Like they're like, oh, I've come up with an idea just for idea's sake. And I'm like, would you talk about it in the pub? And they're like, no. I'm like, yeah, I know you wouldn't. Scrap it, let's start again. And the last one, it evokes emotion. So you'll notice that the best campaigns we remember is because it made us feel something. And I always used to think this was just a bullshit kind of PR message and thought, or whatever, and it doesn't really, but actually the campaigns that we've done that have done well have created laughter, they've created fear, even shock, disgust, or people that love it. And we have to make sure we're touching on that emotion. And I often think, does it make you feel something when you're doing that campaign? Does it make you feel something when you're creating the story, pulling the content? And if it's no, then start again. Then how to get links. So we've worked out how to get the story. Let me tell you how to get links. So having something on site to link to, which ticks at least one of these boxes, adds value, positions you as an expert, acts as a resource, or as something that is engaging. It has to tick at least one of those boxes. A lot of people get it wrong where they get viral press coverage and again, no search, no links, because they haven't got something on their website that adds value to that journalist. I've got some examples. This was a campaign we did for Ricky, sex toy provider. Basically they're a small brand, they're up against Ann Summers, Love Honey, etc. And they said, like, Rise at 7, come up with something mad, and I want to get links, but I want to build my brand. We created the world's first adult Kinder egg. So it's basically an Easter egg, and inside, instead of a kid's toy, it's a sex toy. It was a product that you could actually buy. There was 200 of them. And the way that we got the links is because you can't buy it without linking to the website. You have to go, to buy it here, go buy it off the website. What we had is, because we only had 200, we drove, I think, around 25,000 people to the website at the time. So obviously they sold out fast. So what we did is we changed it where instead of buying it because it sold out, we had an email address capture where it said, right, enter your email address and we'll get in touch with you as soon as this comes back. We was looking at basically trying to get more stock. And what it meant is we captured 10,000 email addresses. And for Ricky, that's worth thousands. He's like, oh my God, I've got 10,000 email addresses of people that want a sex toy. That's exactly their audience. So think of other ways to capture direct kind of ways to remarket. And this obviously drove 12K of revenue. And to be honest, Ricky was a startup sex toy brand. He's never seen 12K in his life. So we turned that out for him through purely PR. There was no paid behind this. It was just a fun stunt. And obviously every national media talked about this adult Kinder egg. Another one where it got links. So Stavely Head, really boring, basically car insurers. What they did is we needed a asset on site that journalists had to link to. And this is exactly something that you have to link to. So what it shows is live every second how much Toyota, Porsche, Bentley, Ferrari make every second as it goes up. But it also shows how many units or how much revenue they make. I sent this to press. And the reason that this got links is because how can a journalist physically describe how much money they make every second going up without having to link to it? It's too long to explain. Journalists have to link to this as an explanation for visualization. So that got links from Top Gear, CNN, Yahoo, all the big publications, especially over in America. American love this. And another good example is Love Honey. They basically use their own data, which a lot of people get wrong, is use their own data to map out what sex toys everybody's into. And I think Blackpool ended up being the butt plug capital, which is hilarious. But what you could do is choose your local area, Doncaster, Sheffield, Essex, whatever, and find out, what's the most popular sex toy there. This got loads of links from national press. Everybody was talking about it. Here's a bit of a tip. If a journalist can cover a story without linking, then start again. I always say to my team, have we got something on the site that's linkable? And if not, start again. Do you think a journalist can write this without having to link to us? Does it add any value to them? And they're like, if they say no, we start again. So we need to create content on site that people care about and want or have to click on. And a lot of people argue that digital PR and links don't drive sales. It's all for SEO. However, that's bullshit. So as I mentioned with the Ricky Easter egg, 12K of sales. This one drove, I'm not allowed to say the figure on this one, but it was like 5 figures, all because we sold matching jumpers for you and your dog. It drove 82,000 people to the website. That's through PR. And all of a sudden now brands are really seeing the value of digital PR, but understanding, you know, not just to how to get on, you know, the Daily Mail or Express or the Sun, but how can we take that audience and drive the traffic to our website? And this is something that we do. So a lot of people get links wrong. What they do is they target publications with the highest DA, and DA is basically domain authority. Google, well, it's basically a Moz metric, which says this website has more authority than other websites with a high DA. However, what we've done is for the last year, we worked with Misguided and we tracked every single link and publication that we got for the brand. And we noticed that Tyler, for an example, although it only has a DA of 60 and Cosmo has a higher DA of 92, Tyler drives the most transactions to Misguided's websites, most sessions and social shares. So we knew actually the links we want to get is not just on the high DA sites, but it's on the ones that our audience are reading. We knew that our audience at Misguided is reading Tyler because that's where they're going from Tyler and coming to our website. That's our audience. So we really use this to understand all of the links we've got in the last year. What sites should we be targeting? Where are our audience reading? And this is more important than ever because, you know, Tyler, I think off the top of my head, drove around 3K of revenue from one link, and that's insane. So firstly, I'm going to hopefully try run through working out where's my audience, what publications are they reading, an example of how you can do it. So Game Christmas Tinner, this was a really interesting story. Game came to us in 2013 with this campaign, right? And it was already existed. So Christmas Tinner was ran for a creative agency years and years ago, and it went viral across 18 countries, viral press, social media. I think it won awards. However, the campaign had zero search impact. Every single year, people was talking about the Christmas Tinner at Christmas time, and they was basically, Game came to us and said, we have this campaign, it gets talked about every year, we have no links off the back of it, it doesn't drive any search value or anything to our website, and obviously Game, that's where most of their revenue is right now, is online. So how can you make this campaign work for online? And how an SEO targets is by DA. So a lot of people was thinking, you know, they want to get on TechCrunch because TechCrunch has a high DA. However, we realized that we actually need to focus on engagement, traffic, and brand awareness. So where our gamers consuming their news? I asked a gaming journalist who worked at The Guardian at the time, where do you get your latest game updates and news? So like when PS5 is coming out and all the gossip of new gaming, where do you get all your news? Does PlayStation send you a tip off like a press release? And he said, no, it's actually Reddit and forums. They use Reddit and forums and Twitter and social media to get their news. So then they're on the pulse of what's going on in the gaming community. So then step two, where are Game's audience? That's what I needed to know. So using Ahrefs and GA, I pulled a list of every link pointing to Game's website that has ever been built and which one drives the most traffic. So obviously they expected to see TechCrunch, but it's not, it's Lab Bible, it's Business Insider, it's Mirror. So these are the publications that gamers was using and reading. They weren't reading TechCrunch, they was on Lab Bible. So step three, where got the most social engagement on the last campaign? So as I mentioned, it's already been launched before. So I basically put every single URL into a tool, into BuzzSumo, and I found out which press coverage got the most social engagement before, and it was the drum. And what I've realized over time is, have you ever noticed that, take Burger King, when they do their moldy burgers, it's marketers that really see that campaign and get it to spread. What they do is they target the marketing community first to get it go viral, and then everybody else sees it, your mum, your brother, your sister, whatever. So people outside of marketing don't really see our campaigns unless you can get it trending in marketing. So then I learned a lesson. So first of all, I seeded the campaign on gaming and Reddit forums. That's where I knew gaming journalists got their gossip and their trends. So I went on to, instead of normally what a PR does is sends a press release to the Daily Mail or, you know, big national publications. But the first thing I did is went on forums and make the campaign spread. The second thing, I didn't even go to national press. I went to the drum. I got everybody in marketing speaking about our campaign. The Christmas Tinner is back. That's my angle. It's the biggest marketing campaign that Game has ever done. And we basically brought it back by creating a vegan and vegetarian option. That's what we did. How did we do that? Because vegan was trending. We jumped again on a trend that was already relevant in press right now. Everyone's turning vegan. And then we amplified it through national press. So we flipped the process. We understood firstly where our audience is, how do we get trending in marketing? And then guess what? 100, 200 publications spoke about it globally. And this is what happened, was everywhere, radio, TV. We had, I think Good Morning Britain asked for a Christmas dinner to taste it, and they did videos, etc. It was on Lab Bible, you name it. Multiple countries was talking about the Christmas dinner. It drove 85,000 people to their website just to buy it. Social media people went crazy. So influencers with millions and millions of subscribers on YouTube, they was talking about the Christmas dinner. We didn't ask them to, they did it all for free because we got it trended in Reddit. And it got on TV. So I don't watch this, but apparently it's massive. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, he talked about the Christmas dinner, and that's insane. And search impact, that's obviously what we do. When you type in Christmas dinner now, Game comes up. That didn't happen originally. It's the biggest landing page that Game has behind their Black Friday deals. So it's one of the most visited pages on their whole website. And as a result of it, what they was initially trying to do is get gaming chairs to rank on Google. And what happened was originally gaming chairs ranked for one keyword, which is not very good. In the space of 2 weeks, because of our press coverage, they ranked for over 400 keywords. Gaming chairs, if you don't know, they're expensive. Some of them can cost like 15 grand. So yeah, Game made a lot of profit that year. And yeah, 21,000 hits from organic, brand was up. So the only kind of concern Game had at the time was because the Christmas dinner, I'm not gonna lie, was minging. It tasted awful. We had a video of Mark Rove tasting it as minging. He said it tasted like feet. And people was like, oh, you know, is it gonna get negative press? Is that a bad thing? I was like, no press is, yeah, what is the saying? No bad press is good press, or whatever the saying is. And yeah, we basically tracked everything from positive to negative. And as you can see, the positive outweighed the negative. Viral campaign, but it just showed you how we flipped the process, how we understood first where our audience is, how to get it into a trending topic, how to get it trending within marketing, because then that's when everybody else sees it. Thank you.
Oh my God, that was unreal.
I talk fast, don't I?
Yeah, you do talk fast. I don't know whether you... I'm glad someone's told you that before, but oh my God. Like,
sometimes I have to gasp for air. Sometimes I have to go... I just get too excited. I love this stuff. It's my job. I love it.
Well, like, if you stop sharing your screen, you'll be able to see all the comments coming through from folks, because like they are... I think there's a simultaneous like astoundment at your face, but also the content. Like bloody hell! I mean, it's a very obvious thing to say, but you're really, really good at what you do.
Yeah. But I didn't learn it at uni or anything like that. I think do you know what my best skill is? I'm curious. I ask questions, I dig, I research. And one thing that I noticed about, I know Harry from Marketing Examples was on a couple of weeks. If you notice about him, he's curious, he digs, he researches. And I think that is an amazing skill set to have. So I think if you can give yourself time or your staff time to be curious, to do the research, it pays off massively. Be part of communities, really get to know what's going on.
Yeah, well, actually, to speak to that, if I'm really honest, I think around 50% of the time, I feel so busy that I end up half-assing things.
Yeah.
And actually, you're actually speaking to the opposite here, aren't you?
Yeah.
Saying, you know, go 100% in on something, give it the time it deserves, and these are the results, which is amazing.
Yeah.
There's so many open questions. There's already 45.
I can't believe how many people are on this. This is insane. That's so good.
But this is most weeks. But this was
so good.
The second highest ever sign-ups for a Marketing Meetup event. So you know, there's clearly something incredible about this. The comments are unreal. So let me get into the questions rather than just throw compliments your way. So the top one is from Jennifer, and Jennifer asks, how would you approach this for B2B subjects, stuff people go to the pub to escape from?
Sure. I think you have to find a topic that consumers would talk about, not just businesses, but consumers. You got to think B2B, people often forget that the businesses you're talking to, they're people. So you've got to still create consumer facing content. And do you know what? Someone gave an example of this. I spoke a couple of years ago about this, and someone put their hand up at the end and was like, yeah, well, it's good for you. You work with big brands. And I work for a fraud detection company. How the hell do I get stuff like that? And I said, you work for a fraud detection company? She said, yeah. I said, do you have data around which sort of businesses do the most fraud? Like, is it hairdressers? Is it, corner shops or, like I actually went, yeah, we have that data. And I said, where'd you do it? Across Europe? Or is it like, yeah, it's a worldwide thing. I went, that is press gold. I was like, Daily Mail will probably pay you thousands for that data. And the fact you could give them it for free is going to make you go viral. But they don't realize what they have. And that's the thing about PR. You have to use what you've got. And people sometimes just need a bit of a window opening and realizing, how do I talk about campaigns or content that other people would, really talk about outside of my sphere. And, talking about fraud at hairdressers, or, I know the other day there was a tweet going out around Shoe Zone. There's like, if Shoe Zone survives this, they must be doing something dodgy. And it made me laugh. So it is a topic that people are talking about, which companies can survive this? Are they doing fraud? So yeah, it's making sure you can tie your content and stories in with something that's consumer facing.
Awesome. I love that. Okay, so next one from Catherine. How would you start to build up your press contacts?
Press contacts, Twitter. So everybody, if you talk to any traditional PR, they say, you have to pick up the phone to them, you have to meet them for drinks and all that sort of stuff. It's bullshit. Don't listen to them. I've met one in my life and it was not really worth it. So connect with them on Twitter. All of these journalists now are just young. They're all 21, 25-year-old people that are using social media, and they can't be asked to meet you for a drink. They want to connect with you on social media. So give them something. The other day, for an example, I was doing analysis for Misguided, and one of the top articles was OK Magazine. They wrote about Misguided, and it was the top article that drove traffic to Misguided's website. So I basically DM'd the editor at OK Magazine and said, by the way, here's some inside goss. Your article is the top driver for Misguided. For them, they tweeted it. They was like, oh my God, like my article was da-da-da. And then they followed me, and they was like, oh, if you have anything like that, send it me. So I just basically give them credit. I give them stories, give them data, to use social media to give back. I think we're too much about giving journalists and bombarding them. Well, why don't we give something back for once and actually kind of show them insight into their stories?
Yeah, I love that. And so how do you go about sort of finding those folks? I mean, is it just research over the course of time? Do you use any hashtags or anything like that?
Yeah, so I should have included that actually, because it's a really interesting thing. So on Twitter, there's a list kind of function. Most people know about it, but if you create a list of SEOs, a list of PRs, whatever, well, what you notice if you type in tech journalists, to say if tech is your thing, if you type in tech journalists, Twitter recommends all the tech journalists to follow. So they already have a bank of thousands of journalists that are writing about tech. So all of a sudden you've got a list of thousands. So that's another kind of like quick tip. We use tools as well. So we use like Gorkana, Roxhill. They're expensive, not going to lie, but they are basically media databases with every single journalist data on. But that's, I guess, our black book. That's really what we use. But I don't use it to I don't use it as a Bible as such. I use social media mostly. So yeah, Twitter list is the most easiest ways to find people, and then just follow them, like their stuff. I even follow them on Instagram, and I'm liking pictures of their dog. But they like that. You've got to build relationships nowadays, especially in a virtual world.
Well, they're just people, aren't they?
Yeah, people. That's what people forget. They are just people. Yeah,
absolutely. I love it. So next one from Sean. I'm going to fire them at you, but
go for it.
You can just take it. So from Sean, what tools do you guys use internally for monitoring backlinks and coverage?
Yes.
She also asks what metrics matter most.
Oh, love that question. Off the top of my head, Ahrefs is my absolute go-to. Love it. BuzzSumo as well pulls backlinks. So they basically, those two tools are my main ones. There is SEMrush and Systrix that also pull that, but I think Ahrefs and BuzzSumo are the best. In terms of metrics, a lot of people get this wrong. So I don't even track DA. That's what I've proved, that DA is pointless. I track whether it's follow or no follow, so that's important for some SEOs. I don't care about that much. If I get a no followed link on the Daily Mail, then I'm still very happy. I track traffic from links. I track social shares. So there's a tool called sharedcount.com. It's free, by the way. So if you whack in every single PR coverage that you get, it tells you how many social shares. So that's important for some brands like PLT, Misguided. They're vanity metrics. That's what they want to know, how much social shares. So it's important to some clients. What else do we track? We track keyword movements. So if, for an example, I'm trying to build pretty little thing to rank for lingerie will directly track how much more traffic we've drove into lingerie, but also their rankings. So are they position 1, position 2? God, I'm trying to think. Basically everything. We track of things like sign-ups to newsletters. So one of our travel clients has a newsletter, and we did a campaign to directly drive basically conversions into that. So we track everything from social media following as well.
Awesome. I love it. Okay, question from Chess. Chess asks, can you apply this to small B2B company whose goal is to get local/regional press and impact instead of global? And I guess I'd add into that, like, is there a time where you seek regional and local coverage rather than go for the local, for the global stuff?
Yeah, 100%. I even do it for Rise. So I even do it for Rise at 7. So obviously I'm not someone that OK Magazine would talk about. So I would obviously target my niches. When it comes to regional, like take Park Dean Resorts, they're basically a UK holiday thing, a bit like Haven. And they are trying to boost their Cornwall pages. So my mission is to get every Cornwall publication talking about Park Dean. So yeah, a lot of ways to do that is using local Cornwall data. We did something around the best, I think it was the best Cornish pasty restaurants, and we just ranked them based on TripAdvisor data. We've done a lot from comments, what are the best beaches to go to, travel tips, etc. So especially on the B2B section, I know you mentioned that, using you, so whether that's the owner, the CEO, to provide comments to press about your topic is the best and easiest, fastest way to get media coverage, especially when it comes to B2B. Press now, because there's a lot of fake news going on, they need experts to put behind their stories. So they have to put a name to it to say, this expert also commented on this saying this. Even if you're not an expert, you can pretend to be. And that's the whole thing about PR. You're faking it till you make it, basically. You're putting a comment together to position you as the authority and leader. And everybody is an authority and leader what do. So Joe, you're an authority in marketing, I'm an authority in digital PR. These are things that we have actually got something to say about. Use it, send it to press, and it'll work.
I love it. And folks, there's lots of people asking about whether the recording's available afterwards. Then yes, it is. It's both on the YouTube page, our blog,
amazing,
and the Marketing Meetup podcast as well. So these sessions always go up every time. So actually on that, you mentioned very quickly there that you use some of these tactics for Rise. And I'm interested, like, what of this, do you take all of this and just apply it to how you've grown your agency, or what are the sort of snippets where you've been like, that's been the most effective thing to grow my agency over the course of time?
Yeah, sure. Snippets of it for sure. The first ever thing that I did is I ran my own PR campaign. But this was so basically I had Misguided as a pitch, and I had no fashion case studies. I had nothing to say, and I was shitting myself. I was like, I really want to win Misguided, but I have nothing to say in fashion. So I thought, right, all I have to do is prove that I can do it. So I ran a campaign for Rise at 7, and a brand that was just 2 months old, to prove that I could do it for anyone. So, a brand that's no one's even heard of. So I ran a campaign around Love Island and influencers, and I was on BBC World TV, I was on Sky News, I had to stand up, like on the screen, like, hi. But I just wanted to prove that I could create content that, Misguided's audience was interested in, Love Island and influencers, and that I could do it for any brand. And I did, and that's how I won. So there's that sort of angle. But the biggest success for Rise at 7 is 100% personal brand. And that's mine, that's Ken Wright, my co-founder, and that's our staff. We big up, we share our work, we share our staff's, skills, what they're up to. We go for a real transparent approach. And I think the brands that take a transparent approach with their people is the brands that win. I honestly think in the future, we'll see live vlogs and daily vlogs from Tesco. I honestly do think, people will really show behind the doors of brands, and the CEOs are having a voice, like Elon Musk. I think if you can really be transparent and show what you've got to say, build your personal brand and your staff's personal brand, it's honestly the most successful thing we've done at Rise at 7.
I love it. And, I think there's the transparency behind the people, but I think something you're demonstrating today is transparency behind the process around as well. And you've shared your process and stuff like that, but you also know that you can do it really, really well. So,
someone said that to me. There was on LinkedIn, there was like, you're not afraid that you're giving away all your tips and advice. People will just go and copy you. And I was like, and then I went, no, they ain't got me. No one can copy me, who I am. So that's what makes you special there. That's what makes every business and brand special, is you. So you've got to use it.
Bloody hell. I love you. I absolutely.
Thank you. Balls of confidence, I know.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I've already had one text while you've been speaking from someone saying, when can I work with her? I absolutely love her. So that's something that's shared by so many people. So we've got a question here from Catherine. She says, what top tips would you give to get your press releases noticed?
Yeah, sure. A lot of people get, oh God, I wish I included this as well. Honestly, I've got so much to say on PR. I'll share some of my links to some of my presentations on Twitter or something so you can all see them. But using emojis in headlines in your subject line on email, you wouldn't believe it. So I was speaking to someone at the Times and they basically screenshotted their inbox, and you wouldn't believe the shit that they get. And I think, oh, how the hell do I stand out in that? Like they get 200 emails from PRs a day, and imagine that we get so much crap in it in a sense. So using emojis to stand out, using the words revealed in capitals, making sure you're mentioning like, I don't know. So we did a study and it was all around like Netflix. It weren't by Netflix, it was by a small brand that no one's ever heard of, but we mentioned the keyword Netflix in our headline, and straight away we got the press coverage and people are hooked because it's, everyone's talking about Netflix. So yeah, I think really focus on creating your story as one subject line, and just think of, how did Daily Mail do it? How does the Sun do it? If you notice on the Sun, they always use 2 words. So it'll be like botched boobs, or I don't know, dirty money or something like that. They always have like 2 words that they basically stand out. So whenever I email the Sun, for an example, I just use 2 words, botched boobs, and then I'll put, I don't know, Blackpool is the botched boob capital. I've just made that off the top of my head. Blackpool, you're not botched boobs. But yeah, it just shows you like how to really see how the press are writing, what headlines do they use, and then adapt your outreach emails to fit that.
I love it. Absolutely love it. And it just goes back to one of the basic marketing principles of knowing your audience, right?
Yeah, literally. Sometimes I think about it so intriguingly detailed, but I don't really take a step back and realize that's what it is. It's just knowing your audience.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the only place I live. So that's cool. So question from Sean. They ask, are there any free resources to build press release journals lists via the sector? So I think we've already sort of covered that with the Twitter.
Yeah. There is, oh God, I don't know if it's called Email Hunt or something like that. I'll have to find out and I'll tweet it on my Twitter. But I'm sure it's called like Email Hunt or something like that. And that's a free tool that people use. And it basically just finds out what the email addresses of the Sun or Daily Mail is. Hunter, someone's put it, hunter.io, that's the one. I can't remember off the top of my head. So yeah, have a look into that one.
Sweet. Question from Tabby. How do you tackle working with clients who can't move fast enough to react to breaking news / of-the-minute updates? Companies with so many layers of stakeholders sign off. It might take 6 months to get them from idea to sign off to live content on site, as an example.
Yeah, I have that too. It's not all, sunshines and rainbows here. There's a lot of that too. Being proactive, so planning well ahead. And I guess with that one, you have to know what's going on in the last 6 months. So for an example, we all know in the last 6 months, the biggest thing right now is Bitcoin. Bitcoin has not just come around in the last week, it's been around for a while. So really, and you can find that out through, Google Trends. So knowing what's going on in the last 6 months and planning ahead. So every single year, like in November, people talk about burglaries. That's something, so security companies could talk about burglaries. We know every single year press talk about burglaries, or car accidents in December because there's more then, or, Valentine's Day. There's a lot of things that happen recurringly every year, and just knowing what they are. BuzzSumo's good too for that as well. So it shows you on a timeline what the most big topics that happen every single year, so you can plan ahead.
Mm-hmm. So what percentage of stuff, if you were to put a percentage on it, is like reactive in the moment versus like, sort of more planned out activity that
do you know what? That's an interesting question, because when I used to do this, it used to be, I would say off the top of my head, around 70% planned and then 30% reactive. But I would say now we're 50% planned, 50% reactive. But I think, do you know what changed that is COVID. I think we had to be on the ball. We had to change the way that we worked, because every single day something's happening, whether it's lockdown, not lockdown, or travels, something changes, and you have to be more on the ball. What I have seen though is brands being a lot more brave right now. I thought it'd go the opposite. I thought brands would be a lot more like strict and kind of not sign things off, but they're being a lot more brave to be reactive, because if not, they fuck up, they struggle. So yeah.
Nice. I love it. Okay. Next question from the mysterious anonymous. How would you approach conservative conservative sectors where national trends are not necessarily applicable. I don't know what's happening to my tongue today, but
yeah, sure.
how would you approach conservative sectors where national trends are not applicable?
Sure. Through that one, it's not my expertise. It's not, to be honest. And we have a couple of clients in the financial space, for an example, who are not going to jump on Netflix. They're not going to jump on, those sort of topics. What we do with them is a lot of financial newsjacking. So when it sounds really negative, actually, but whenever something happened in press, such as, I don't know, Jet2 was grounded for like 2 months, like they couldn't fly because of the whole thing, or Debenhams going into administration. We basically pushed out what that means to the economy. So we have a lot of like experts that we use for comments who know their stuff, and we push out comments to position our brands as experts. So that's something that we do to make sure that they are adding value to what's going on in the industry, but also something that is, I guess, not the trending topics, but I guess it's still relevant to economy. But that's the only real thing that I guess is more conservative than, I guess, dog jumpers or sex toy Easter eggs or something like that. Yeah,
that's cool. And it's interesting there because you reference like a pool of people that you go out to, experts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then also with the example of the car manufacturers and the money example,
Yeah.
like there's clearly some dev time involved in that as well, so
yeah.
like what pools of resources are you pulling on sort of every day from sort of experts and devs? I mean, what does your sort of makeup of the team look like? And
yeah, sure. So we use design mostly, so we have to visualize a lot of our stories. If you can't see it in a picture, I don't think you should say it at all. So we visualize a lot of our content, our products, our data, etc. So design is a big part. We have 4, I think, designers in our team right now. We used to outsource them, but you realize we're spending too much money on them, so we just hired. We have a dev internally as well. However, the biggest thing that I guess we use externally is people who can ghost write, ghost comment, etc. People that can give you something. They don't want to be impressed in terms of their name, but they have the expertise and data behind it. We have a pool of around 10 people that give us that sort of stuff, from everything in motoring, from finance to even travel. These are people that can give us something and not put their name to it. They want to put somebody else's too. Finding those people is really interesting and really good. We use that quite a lot for a lot of reactive stuff.
Awesome. I love this question. So the moment that you mentioned the Bernie example,
yeah,
your talk, like the chat exploded, and people were like, "Oh, that was you," and like everyone. So like, I mean, actually, first of all, how does that feel? Like from your perspective, I'm just curious. How does that feel to sort of see that throughout the web for you? I mean, is it a really weird experience? Do you feel like you need the credit? I mean, how?
Not the credit, but I don't know why. I don't know why I'm saying this, Joe, but I always feel like I'm having to prove myself. And I don't know why, because I guess over the years in my previous roles, I got pushed down a lot. I didn't really, you know what I'm like. You can tell from this podcast, I'm very expressive. There's a lot of things that I want to learn, I want to go to, etc. And I got told no a lot. And I think for me, when somebody can't tell me no, I thrive. So for seeing that go everywhere, it wasn't credit. It was just more I don't know, I proved myself right. So obviously I'm trying to teach everybody on this podcast that, if you jump on a relevant topic, that's how you go viral. And that's all I had to do. I had to just prove it. I've done it before where I did, do you know what? I was working with Ladbrokes. This is an interesting story, about 4 years ago. And I did a campaign idea for them. It was reactive. Basically what happened was, if everyone saw the billboards around, I think it was, "Are you beach body ready?" And it was basically this beautiful woman, real slim. And it's like, oh, so you have to look like her to be beach body ready. So the press was going mad about it. Everyone was kicking off. Ladbrokes at the time was doing odds on the general election. So there was 2 things that was happening in the press: the "Are you beach body ready" ad and the general election. So what I did is I put those 2 topics together, again, reacting to the relevancy of what's going on. And I created this kind of billboard ad, and it was, are you election ready? That was it. Are you election ready? And what it was is David Cameron and Ed Miliband basically naked on the bill. There was like, obviously had some like swim trunks on, but it was like, "Are you election ready?" And it went viral. But what happened was, this was for Ladbrokes, and I said to Ladbrokes, "Oh, I really want to do this," and they said no. Like I got told no a lot. My manager said that, like, you can't do it. It's too out there, basically. So what I did is something really bad. I got bollocked for this, but I tell this story a lot. I took Ladbrokes logo off it and I put mine on. I put Carrie Rose on, little stamp at the bottom, and I tweeted it, went everywhere just to prove a point. And I am rebellious, but I think that's a good thing. It's a good trait to have. Obviously, I know when not to do something. I'm very aware of when not to do stuff as well. But yeah, I think you have to be brave. You have to be bold sometimes. And I think over my career, I've really kind of pushed those boundaries to prove myself, and it's working.
I love it. And, you know, I think you've got an awful lot of validation in the chat coming through from folks.
It's amazing.
Hold you with a lot of admiration. So, you know, good on you. You know, I mean, you don't need my validation at all, but you know, that's really quite something. So, you know,
you've got a good community here. Everyone's real supportive, and it's nice. I think on Twitter I've got quite a lot of shit, not gonna lie, but I think it's because I'm a girl in SEO. People have not liked somebody coming in and changing things up. But you've got a good community, Joe. It's nice to see.
They're, you know, truly amazing. And, you know, I'm sorry that happens, because it's not fair that, like, you've got models like you that are doing something special in the industry.
Yeah.
Like, you know, with people like you, then we can't help but sort of make changes, because, like, if you're at the forefront, then you know, that's really quite something amazing. So, you know, we've got your back, I think it's fair to say.
That's nice.
So the reason why I asked about how it feels is because there was a question here from Anonymous who asked the difference between a PR campaign and things like the Bernie chair, which is in the moment solo piece, but it didn't necessarily have like a direction to it necessarily. You know, it's just something you did in the moment. So do you think about these things in a different way? Do you just have an idea and you're like, I want to do it, so I'm going to do it? Or
I would call it random acts of creativity. That's what I like to call it. I think some people plan too much. They think about a process too much data behind it, and sometimes all you need is just random acts of creativity and just go with it. So yeah, with that one, it just came to my head, and I said, I want to prove that all you need to do is be reactive. So I knew what was going on. Bernie was massive. I knew IKEA would probably pick something up, and I looked into it and they hadn't. And do you know what the interesting thing is? It was IKEA Greece. They actually ended up doing something on it afterwards, but just proved that I was perfect to their brand. Like I knew that they would, but they hadn't at the time, so I quickly jumped on it. But yeah, it proved I was on the right mark, basically.
That's awesome. And did anyone from IKEA get in touch afterwards? I mean, like, did they
No, but if they want to, that's the sort of thing I can do. That's what we're out to do, right? We've got to put ourselves in front of brands, and that's my dream. So yeah, I'd love to work with IKEA. They're actually on my dream list to work with.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. Okay, next question. Jenny asks, who made the sex toy egg, and how do you convince a client to actually make a new product? Because, like, there's a lot of investment involved in that sort of thing. So, you know, product development, ideas and stuff like that. It's really interesting. So who made it, and like, how do you convince a client to make a new product?
Sure. So on the sex toy Easter egg, it was basically their sex toys. So Ricky already owned the sex toys, and they used a local, what do you call them? Like a chocolatier. Is that what they're called? So it's like a local chocolatier, and all they did is create the egg. It weren't even expensive. I think it was a couple of quid, like, per egg. Like, it's not even expensive to wrap anything in chocolate. You could wrap an iPhone in chocolate if you wanted to. Imagine that. So yeah, it's not expensive to do. So that's all we did. And in terms of persuading clients to do it, I think the best advice is just do it for someone and use it as a case study. So for an example, we work with PLT now, and last week we tried to do the same with them. They was like, oh, like, you create these products, like, how the hell do you do that? And I basically said, right, let me have a look on your website. So I had a look on their website of what products already existed and how the hell I could PR it. So PLT, they sell a lot of now, which is a bit mad. They sell hoodies and dresses with face masks kind of sewed in. So it's not just sewed in, but they're built into the outfit. And I said, oh, are you PRing them? They was like, no, but they're selling out, like, they're doing well in terms of sales. I said, I could PR that. So I basically created this headline, created the story around PLT selling, like, built in, because obviously everyone goes to co-op, don't they? And they forget their face mask. It happens all the time to us all. So now you've got it sewed into your hoodie, so you don't need to. So yeah, we pushed it out to press. It's gone everywhere. It's drove like 3,000 people to the website, and it just proves it. And now they're like, how can we do more of that? So now I'm like, right, let's make some products. Let's actually create something that doesn't exist on PLT's site, but we could create something. So I pitched something, a couple of things on Friday, and they're doing it, which I'm excited about. But yeah, I think you've just got to have a good case study to prove. And you might go, oh yeah, well, you know, how do I get that case study? Honestly, I just did a campaign for myself. That's what I did with Misguided. I didn't have a case study, so I made one. I made one for Rise at 7, and I proved that I could do it for any brand. So if that helps, yeah, be inspired by just I don't know, even go into your local cafe or not cafes because they're closed right now, but somebody, a hairdresser, and just create something for them, get some press, and then you'll learn the process.
I love it. I just absolutely love it. I'm sitting here in awe. So we've got 2 minutes left, and I want to ask one more question, and then I want to give everyone time to sort of digest the comments and see what an amazing session this has been. So the last question comes from Nima, who asks, how do you go about seeding on forums? It's always hard to jump in with your angle without people sort of like hating on your marketing crap. So particularly on Reddit, that's like can be hostile.
So we hire people dedicated to niches. So for an example, we have a girl that has worked in travel all of her life, and she does our travel PR. We have a guy that works in gaming. He was the gaming journalist that I mentioned. We hired him in the end from The Guardian. He said, come work for us. We need a gamer. And they are all active in their communities, and we use them to seed content. So Matt, who is a gaming journalist, he's on Reddit himself. He's on, all of these forums. And what they do is they talk about gaming all day. So when they slip in one of our campaigns, it looks natural. And they'll go, oh, by the way, seen this. They don't promote it. They don't say, big kind of press release or anything like that. They just say, by the way, has everyone seen this? This looks cool, kind of thing. That's all it takes on Reddit sometimes. So basically, being yourself is exactly what we do. We hire people relevant to every niche, and we use them for seeding content, basically.
That's awesome. Carrie, you're amazing. You're amazing in so many ways, like the knowledge, the personality.
You're picking me up today. I feel amazing now because of you guys. I can do anything.
If you didn't feel amazing before, then the world better watch out, because that's quite something. There's a couple of questions coming in very quickly.
Fire away.
A Slack channel for the marketing meetup. There's a Facebook group, so you need to find that on Facebook. And it's just called the Marketing Meetup. You can continue the conversation on there. Find our Facebook group there. Carrie, we've run out of time, so I just want to thank you very much.
Thank you.
An amazing session. The chats is unreal. Folks, if you have enjoyed today's session, which of course you have, because blimey, how can you not? Then please do take the time to thank the sponsors. It's the biggest thing you can do for the Marketing Meetup. Just to enable us to continue doing this sort of stuff. These comments are absolutely ridiculous. I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to send you the chat file afterwards.
Yeah, that's amazing if so, because I'm reading it now and I'm like, whoa.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you all so much for being here today. Thank you for your amazing questions. Thank you for the amazing chat. Thank you for being so supportive. What an absolute joy it is to be able to do this sort of stuff. I hope you all have a lovely day. Take care of yourself. We're back next Tuesday with another webinar, and have a good one. Take care, everyone. Thanks again, Carrie.
Thank you.